debate, more effectively stating the municipal charter of the strong mayor form of government, which is the Faulkner Act, under Title 4069A-36, clearly states that, and without ambiguity, that the legislative power of the municipality shall be exercised by the municipal council, and that legislative power shall be exercised by ordinance, except for the exercise of those powers that under this plan of government or general law do not require an action by the mayor as a condition of approval for the exercise thereof, and may therefore be exercised by resolution. Also, under this form of government, the mayor reserves the right to veto any ordinance that council passes, and in turn, the council is permitted the statutory right to override the veto as long as they do so with 2/3 of the governing body voting to override, which in this case requires at least 4 out of 5 votes. This specific ordinance that we have addressed in this letter was vetoed by you and was successfully overridden 5-0 by this council. In my opinion, there was no impropriety or illegality involved in this process, which would require the need for special counsel, as the charter and code, again, in my opinion, were adhered to properly. I can point to one ordinance and 3 resolutions most recently that were passed in 2016 and 2017 with 0 argument of a Faulkner Act violation. But now it seems that when we try and reverse those, we are left to wonder why all of a sudden the Faulkner Act argument has reared its head. The Faulkner Act argument. This governing body does reserve the right to overturn and rewrite the statute as we deem appropriate, as long as we have adhered to the municipal charter and the law, all of which was completed without issue. Again, referring to the New Jersey State Statute, Title 40A, Municipalities and Counties, Section 40A 9-133 of the Municipal Clerk Appointment and her duties. 40A 9-133, Section E7 states, the municipal clerk shall perform such other duties as are now and hereafter imposed by statute, regulation, or by municipal ordinance or regulation. This means that the ordinance we vetoed, Ordinance 2018-11, designating the municipal clerk as a holder of personal history files and personnel records, including the previous resolutions passed in February, reversing the 2016 and 2017 decisions to remove the duties from the clerk, are, if not followed, the actual violations by writing of the municipal charter, which is the Faulkner Act, as has been specified above. And it's based upon this that my vote to provide you with special counsel to argue a point that in my mind is so clear and easily obtainable by reading the code is going to be no. And I will pass that on to Councilman Lutz for any further debate.
We did get a feedback from our attorney on this, and I'm going to vote no against that.
Council Vice President.
No comment.
Councilman Davis.
One point of information, Councilor, do we even have the right as a council to appoint special counsel directly? My understanding, my recollection of the law is that the recommendation for special counsel has to come from you in terms of conflict of interest.
Yes, if I believe a conflict of interest exists, then
Yeah, so are we allowed to appoint special counsel to without?
the mayor, with the advice and consent of the council, the special counsel gets appointed upon my recommendation.
Okay,
Yes.
so, but the recommendation has to come from you as the town attorney?
In consultation with the mayor, yes.
Okay, have you recommended the appointment of special counsel in this matter?
No, because I don't believe a conflict exists.
And also, just as a point of order, I don't want to interrupt you, Council President, but as the maker of the motion, you're not supposed to be able to speak out against the motion, so. I
You told me I was allowed to speak first.
That's it. I didn't know what you were going to say.
Surprise.
Yeah. Other than that, that's all.
I did so respectfully. I didn't feel it was disrespectful.
No, I didn't say just pointing out the rules are the rules.
Understood. Councilman McVeigh.
I want to first thank Clerk Kleiner for waiving so we can have an open discussion on this. This is very an exhausting topic for me. No.
Okay. Roll call vote. Vicky?
Councilman Lutz?
No.
Councilman Davis?
No.
Council Vice President DeGirolamo? No. Councilman McVeigh?
No.
Council President Polk?
No. So That was the end of new business. Moving forward, there is a vetoed ordinance versus ordinance number 2018-12, an ordinance of the town of Phillipsburg, County of Warren, State of New Jersey, adopting a salary guide for the unclassified employees. This would be a motion to override the veto.
So moved.
Second.
Are you seconding or are you asking?
I'm asking for a second. This is a motion to override the veto of the state of New Jersey adopting salary guide for the unclassified employees. You motioned?
I motioned, yes.
I will second. Is there debate? Discussion? Roll call.
Councilman Lutz.
No.
Councilman Davis.
No.
Council Vice President DeGirolamo.
Yes.
Councilman McVeigh.
We vote yes, just to override the veto.
Yes.
Council President Polper.
Yes. Ordinance number 2018-12 has been,
Not been overruled.
that's correct.
We need 2/3.
That's correct. So the ordinance stands.
The veto stands.
The veto stands. Moving forward, we have a consent agenda. Councilman Woods, do you have anything on the consent agenda?
No, there was a question brought up about the energy.
Yes.
About the energy, everything program agreement. Were we going to table that?
There was, yes. Councilman Davis had asked for us to table 2018-126.
And 125, right?
Yes.
125. I make the motion that we table that?
125 and 126?
Yes. And the resolution for permitting May, is that a separate resolution that we got tonight?
It is that will fall under the approval of the raffle license. It was just a change in time.
Oh, okay. No, I'm okay.
Okay. Council Vice President DeGirolamo.
2018-131, I'd like to call for discussion. It was the vacay and sick pay. I just think something stated wrong on it. That's the only question why I want to pull it. So we need to pull it to discuss it.
Councilman Davis.
I have no others.
Councilman McVeigh.
Good, sir.
I myself am good. So we can move, there's a motion to table resolutions 2018-125, a resolution of the Mayor and Council of Town of Phillipsburg, County of Warren, State of New Jersey, authorizing the signing of government energy aggregation program agreements. Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Lutz.
Yes.
Councilman Davis.
Yes.
Council Vice President DeGirolamo.
Yes.
Councilman McVeigh.
Yes.
Council President Polper.
Yes. Also, a resolution there's a motion to table 2018-126, resolution of the mayor and council of the town of Phillipsburg, County of Warren, State of New Jersey, authorizing the execution of government energy aggregation program agreements for the Morris Area Energy Cooperative.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Lutz?
Yes.
Councilman Davis?
Yes.
Council Vice President DeGramo?
Yes.
Councilman McVeigh?
Yes.
Council President Colbert?
Yes. And the last one is resolution 2018-131, which was,
I just want to remove it from the consent so we can discuss it.
okay, so we can hear the discussion now.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Discussion, Councilwoman.
It just stated on here that this person was a library employee, but when I looked in the budget book, it states that person is employed under the court. So, this is not reading correct. So that needs to be amended. I don't know if we can just amend that here.
We can amend
Just want to make sure that the library doesn't get charged for something they shouldn't.
it. Move to pass the amendment.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Lutz?
Yes.
Councilman Davis?
Yes.
Council Vice President DeGramo?
Yes.
Councilman McVeigh?
Yes.
Council President Colbert?
Yes.
So we accepted the amendments, now we actually have to pass it. Roll call.
Councilman Lutz?
Yes.
Councilman Davis?
Yes.
Council Vice President DeGramo?
Yes.
Councilman McVeigh?
Yes.
Council President Colbert?
Yes. Rest of the items on the consent agenda, which are resolutions 2018-127, 2018-128, 2018-129, 2018-130, 2018-132, 2018-133, and 2018-134.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
roll call.
Councilman Lutz?
Yes.
Councilman Davis?
Yes.
Council Vice President DeGramo?
Yes.
Councilman McVeigh?
Yes.
Council President Colbert?
Yes. And I don't believe we have any old business on the agenda, so we can move right forward to the mayor and his administrative reports.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'll be as brief as possible. The issue with the personnel files, yes, I absolutely want to put it to bed, and part of what you see here today is a temporary business administrator. I think it's taken up way too much of our time, so I thought that opinion would put it to rest, but we'll move forward. At the last meeting, I gave you a letter requesting a business administrator for 6 months. I'm going to rescind that letter, Council President and Council, and replace it with a letter dated today, July 17th, appointment of an acting business administrator. The position of business administrator has been officially posted as of June 21st, 2018. I rescind that previous letter as stated, and as we move forward in our search for a successful candidate, I'm appointing Mr. Samuel Capello as the acting business administrator effective July 18th, 2018. I do believe I have the authority to do this. It's been researched with Council Wenner. It'll be for 30 days, at which point I will advise the council my recommendation for a permanent business administrator. I've made copies for all of council to pass it down.
It's actually, yeah, the mayor's correct, it's called an interim.
Right.
Interim.
So by town code, the mayor does have the authority to appoint an interim business administrator, so it doesn't require a vote by us.
So it's not acting,
Right.
it should be interim.
Pardon me.
No, it's fine, just making sure the record's clear. And it's for 30 days as the mayor stated.
I do appreciate the information by council and my colleagues to help continue to administer operations and maintenance of the town on a daily basis. Things have been very difficult. Council President, I do want to say one thing to you. I know that we have met and face-to-face agreed to work out our differences. This was very difficult, I have to tell you, and I tried to keep in touch with you the best I could, but I didn't want to keep sending you messages that were meaningless. And I want you to know, and I want council to know, and the residents to know, this consumed every day of my time since we last met. If there wasn't a sinkhole, I was working on moving personnel records to some degree, but I hope you can understand, and I hope everyone can understand, that I have to keep myself safe too. Trying to read through the laws of the Faulkner Act are very difficult. There's so many different versions, so that is why I asked for counsel. The other reason I asked is that since I appoint someone to do my human resources, if I move the files, how could they do their job? And I haven't appointed someone yet. I've just taken a logical approach, and I wanted to share that with you. I didn't ignore you. It was just a matter, it's so complicated. I know Attorney Wenner, can work through it, but I struggle with it. I'll move on real quick. Just requesting that we move forward with the Norfolk and Southern lease agreement on Cherry Alley. I'm getting beat up quite a bit. The people back there on Mercer Street don't have a place to park. We've arranged to get a lease for the railroad bed from, what's the name of the company on Mercer Street that does the insulation? Is that Pachone?
High grade.
High grade, all the way to the bridge down, I'm not sure of that alley, it's down from Jefferson Street, thank you. The parking would only be on the upper end towards Mount Parnassus for the Mercer Street residents. The police department had it all cleaned up. We're going to put a fence up so they can't dump anymore and put some stone down, and they'll have parking on the railroad property. There'll be no trails or anything of that nature for now. So I would request that you bring that up at the next meeting. The open space referendum, I just, again, thank you for bringing it up. I know that you put it on the agenda for tonight. I just want to make a few things clear on the open space. There is no open space in Phillipsburg, all right? I just want to get that straight. This was done, this open space referendum was done to upgrade our football fields, our baseball fields, our soccer fields, our restrooms, which I get complaints from every single day. The fields have not been maintained. They're as hard as a rock. They're all broadleaf covered. I wouldn't even think of going after any open space until Ray Pat had mentioned, until all of our sports fields have been brought up to date. So this money can be used. We can also bond against it, and we can write grants against it to pay the grants back. It's very important to the youth. Moving right along, the appointment open space committee, which would manage that open space referendum. I'm not allowed on that committee. No political influence, which should make everyone happy. It would be a committee probably made up of 4 residents, appointed by council and 5 by the mayor. Resolution to participate in the New Brunswick Parking Authority. The reason for that is Chief Stetner is starting to enforce parking like you can't believe. I can see Bill Tim looking at me. It has generated quite a bit of revenue, but that's not the point. The point is to straighten out the parking situation on Main Street, which was encouraged by the council president and others, and I'm glad to see them working together. The only advantage we have to this New Brunswick cooperative is if we're going to digital meters with credit cards. The cost on the open market is like $600. If we join this co-op, it's just like the co-op that we joined for paving streets that Stan uses. There's a Sussex co-op, there's a Middlesex co-op. The price comes down to $250. That was the only reason, is to be able to use that co-op contract. Amended riverfront redevelopment plan. The sooner the better, Council President. We want to get moving on that. We have a lot of investors coming towards us, and I need to give them an answer. Lastly, I wanted to this is just to advise council and the residents that we have to get the records out of the old municipal building. The basement's entirely full from one end to another. So I'm going to recommend to the council president and council and the residents of the town of Phillipsburg that we digitize our records moving forward. We can't afford the space to keep these records. Right now we have a basement full of moldy records, which we cannot move into a new building because then I'll get a moldy new building. So, Council President, at the next meeting, I hope to have 3 prices for you. It's very difficult to do. They have to be cleaned, they have to be run through a computer, but I think it's the right way to move when we look at bricks and mortar and the cost of bricks and mortar, and that's all I have, Council President.
Mayor, a question for you on the records retention. The records that are in the municipal building now, what is the retention period that the legal requirement for that retention?
Very good question. The New Jersey Department of General Services or Treasury, the town clerk would know this, there's different periods for different types of records. Police records are forever, I do believe, is that right? Councilman McVeigh, you cannot dispose of police records, and they're the most we have.
And they're there?
And they're there. And they do have to go down and get them. They, they're in and out in 2 seconds and wipe them off downstairs. And then, of course, the office, chief financial officer, very important. Town clerk has so many records right now at the old building. And they're probably the tax assessor, of course, the tax assessor, and the tax collector are the most important. The rest are probably papers that people have brought in over the years, the free press I've seen from 1920. There's so much stuff that can be disposed of. I think Councilman DiGirolamo took a tour of the building and would agree with me.
Yes, please.
And I apologize. I just want to clarify regarding the appointment of special counsel, and so that everyone is clear. The recommendation from me for special counsel occurs when I believe that there is a subject matter that is best handled by another attorney. If I have a conflict, and I realized, thinking back, and I said I didn't have a conflict, I would have a conflict if the mayor decides to sue the council. So if that's, Mayor, that's what you intend to do, then you have the appointment power with the advice and consent of the council for the special counsel. I have no say in that because I have a conflict. I can't represent you against council. I can't represent the council against you. I represent the town as a whole.
But I still need council's approval
Advice and
for
consent.
professional services.
Correct. That is
Yes.
correct.
Thank you very much.
Please clarify.
Okay, but that's not what it says.
Any questions?
No, I don't see.
Thank you.
It's the same. This is the public petitions portion, and before anyone comes up, this gentleman here has been waiting patiently. Ray, before you wouldn't mind yielding to this gentleman here, he has been waiting patiently all meeting, listening to us speak before he had an opportunity. Sir, can you state your name and address for the record, please?
Yes, my name is Gary Carnaval. I reside at 511 Scotch Place, New Jersey. This is in reference to 159 Mercer Street. To describe it, my mother is now deceased. I'm still getting letters in reference to violations to the property. So I haven't changed the deed of it, but in essence, it's my property. And I'm in receipt of a paper for a lien against the property in the amount of $175. The 175, can someone here answer the question as to what year that's applicable to?
Yeah, I can
17 or 18?
Can I see it?
Oh, yeah, you see.
Thank you.
I just have to go over it. I'll wait over here.
Oh, you can stay right here, it's okay.
I have your paperwork, you chased me down.
I would guess it's current, it says 123.
Yeah, it's for 18, and if you don't pay, they're under the sale.
Meaning something.
They'll sell what's called a tax sale certificate. So the way it works is if your taxes are delinquent, then by year's end, if you remain delinquent, the town is obligated to go out to the tax sale. And they sell a certificate. And the idea is that a private entity will purchase that certificate, make the town whole in terms of back taxes, and then that person then has an obligation to continue to pay the taxes going forward in order to begin his ability to the tax sale certificate. After 2 years, or sometimes 6 months, depending on the situation, that entity can then foreclose on the property.
Okay, this is in reference to violations. I pay all the taxes.
Right, so
And
certain,
the 175, again, I'm going to ask, I'm sorry, maybe it's my brain, is applicable to 17 or 18? Because I have other charges in the year 18 for 300.
Seems to be applicable.
Because the group of the 175 that they just charged me,
right.
if indeed, that was the most recent one.
What violation was that for? That's for
for,
lawn cutting?
Yeah, for grass.
Sure, so
And
that's
I
also,
I responded to the certified letter. I got a regular letter in the mail. I physically went here and abated it, removed it by 517, and they're sending me a bill for 523. And all prior times, I've called the police to show them the dumping and vagrants living next to this structure. Okay, I'm getting off course. But I abated the issue fully with witnesses on the street on the date of 5/17, and now they're sending me a bill on 5/23. So my question is, how do they prove that they were there? Who tells them to go there? And it's bizarre, that's 6 days later, after I physically went there, and I do have witnesses. So those papers are contained here, I don't know if this is the time.
Yeah, I can just speak to the procedure, all right? So if municipal services are expended, so in your case, the town employees went out and cut the lawn. I know you disputed to cut the lawn, but if they cut the lawn, municipal services are expended. We're paying the town employees to do that work. That's authorized by statute to be treated like a tax lien. So it's a lien imposed against the property. If it remains unpaid, then it goes out to sale.
Okay, sir.
But as it relates to your other questions, I'm not trying to cut you off, I'm just trying to allude it to what I
I'm
accomplished
a
to speak
little
about.
bit nervous.
Sure. That's the procedure. Now, if you have a dispute as to that would really lie with the mayor's office as the chief executive officer of the town. Council approves resolutions imposing liens against the property, so that aspect lies with the council. But in terms of how it gets to the council, the DPW or whatever department it is certifies that the work was done, they attach an invoice, it's presented to the council adopts.
I fully understand. The only question is, with witnesses, okay, with me cutting everything, removing all garbage, the original date was, it's right here in the letter of 5/7. Abatement date was 5/17. I did it by the abatement date, and then they sent the crew out for the 23rd, which is 5 days later, charging me $175. So, I don't understand what the wording is contest. In other words, I'm here to contest. Are there legal aspects to this, or is just this, what is the definition of contesting? Is this the only rights I have right here?
Sir, first, you said this is your deceased mother's property?
The letters are going to send to her, I can change the deed over, but I do handle any problems.
My condolences.
Thanks.
You're welcome. I will say, you drove all the way out here tonight from Scotch Plains?
Yes,
And you had a long ride home?
yes, because there's a permit matter of $300,
Correct.
and then there's the 175, which I just went over 2 times that I've been problem of, and I need to pay it today. But how do I pay something that is not, that I'm contesting and not ethical to me?
Right. So is it, can council waive a period until he can speak with the mayor? Because he's going to speak with your office, Mayor.
Council President, Council, and sir, what I'd like to do, if I could, I will go in and get our construction code official, and do you have the official's name on there who?
Yeah, well, I'd just like to say something in positive nature. Paul Smith,
Paul.
he's a professional, and he's a very understanding man.
He is.
So my attitude right now is no weight towards Paul Smith.
Yeah, we understand, and I do want to resolve this. This is kind of a daily basis type thing where people get cited. Can we call you a conference call? No, I don't want you to conference call you. The time.
But do I need a waiver for his?
No, we're going to talk about it.
I don't think we have to take any action tonight because if it was issued in 2018.
It's already done.
The tax sale wouldn't be till July 2019, right? And there's
Or
no
later,
additional-
or
There's no
later.
additional fees that are going to be assessed? I don't think we're charging any
No,
interest.
I don't think it's
So I don't think we have to take any action.
Here, better yet, I'm going to give you mine.
Yeah.
Wait, this was on tonight?
Okay, well, we can.
Yeah, it was on there.
Well, at the end of the day, we can always just undo it with another resolution. Right. There's no point in taking action until we get it.
I hate to see you have to come over back to Scotch Plains.
I'll send you tomorrow. He doesn't have
I wasn't gathering you. I just couldn't hear you. Sir, you're good then? You're okay?
Yes, I'm sorry.
No, you have nothing to be sorry for.
Thank you for your time.
You're very welcome. Drive carefully back home this evening.
Thank you, sir. You too.
Right, now you have the floor.
Brandon Pat, 459 Eagle Avenue, Phillipsburg, New Jersey. I have some good news about Amy Myers at Orleans. She is moving around. You saw it there, Bob. She's doing good up there. They're having a bowling thing for her on Sunday at Orleans. I know Jenny, you can't make it. It's from 1 to 5 at Orleans. $15 per person, including shoes. If anyone wants to bring a bake sale, bring up to Orleans. All the proceeds go to Amy Myers of the Warren. She's been out there for almost now 48 days. That's almost 5 weeks. But I like the town of Phillipsburg. I like you guys come up there and help us support her. It happened 8 years ago, and I like to get rid of this cancer, whatever you call it, get it away from her.
Right, you're a good man, and
I know her for 20 years. You know her sister too.
yes, sir, she was my neighbor for years. I will be there with my family, and just to let you know that I did see a email blast that went out from the mayor's office that they did also advertise for Amy as well. Okay?
And I also got another thing, pin cancer's coming up at Warren Hills High School. It's Phillipsburg versus Washington in Warren Hills.
You're not asking me to wrestle, though,
No,
right? Okay.
everybody, the wrestling team is going up there, it's pin cancer, it's up at the Warren Hills High School football team. And it's a great thing to come up there and watch, everybody come on up, all the Phillipsburg fans, all the Washington fans, come up and watch Phillipsburg wrestle. It's a big thing. And also, the Phillipsburg wrestling team will also be at the Warren County Fair 2 days later. I will be up there with the wrestling team. I think you guys should come up there and help support them. They need all the fans up there they can.
Ray, thank you very, very much.
Lovely.
Appreciate it. You're welcome. Still gonna state your name and address, though.
Hi, Daniel, 147 Mill Street. Just a few things. What is, number one, what is the status of the Walters Park sign resolution?
I would have to defer to the mayor on that one.
I'm not going to give up on that. That sign is part of the street. It needs to go back where it was.
Mayor, do you have a status on that sign?
The entrance sign to Walters Park that's now been replaced, I do believe the DPW is working diligently to replace the original sign that was stolen. In the interim, they put up a brown routed sign just so there was something there, but it's...
Stolen? It was stolen?
It was stolen, I do believe. It was deteriorated and taken on, let me retract that. I know it fell apart and then it was gone.
Okay.
I don't know if someone picked it up, but it is being replaced.
But not with the original sign.
Similar.
Okay. My second issue, am I allowed to ask Mr. Short questions? Council President?
Yes.
My concern is about the traffic studies for Lewis Street